Mayhem in Prepper City, geolocating the jammers of 3860 kHz. I will take signal metrics using TDoA extension of networked QESDRs. All your locations then belong to me. So we'll pick receiver sites which will give the best results. Encircle the target, stay within one hop. The ionosphere should be stable, and avoid backscatter because it degrades accuracy. We'll just simply listen and take as many sampling measurements as possible and try to get some geolocations on these jammers who are playing music and recordings, etc. Here's one in western Pennsylvania. That's a pretty good quality geolocation. It's round, red in the center with some green surrounding it. Some of these don't look anywhere near as good. That's because the band is barely open right now. The ionosphere is stable. Pick new sites as you become more sure of the location. Just walk the receivers around, try to keep the target area surrounded by receivers. Adhere to the one-hop skip distance and hope for a stable ionosphere. And you keep working at it. Take a measurement. If the quality is good, take another one there. If the quality is not as good, move the receivers around and keep trying to geolocate the station. Here's another measurement. We have a location in north central Pennsylvania.
Come on.
Where is that? Somewhere north of Williamsport, southwest of Binghamton, northwest of Scranton. Here's another one while the recorder was off. More into upstate New York. We'll rerun on the same set of coordinates and see what we get. We should have generally the same results. After all, it's simply math, and 2 plus 2 always equals 4. Garbage in will always produce garbage out. These QESDR sites are pretty good. The interface is nice, except on the one that you see here. This is one of the reduced feature interfaces. It allows the operator to have more people using the receivers because it's less demanding on the CPU, and the bandwidth output is still the same. It's a waterfall in sound, but you don't have as many options for tweaking and adjusting how you use the radio. So we're sampling again. We're letting the blue and white sample clock wind its way around. We have about 3/4 of the time accomplished so far, almost complete. There, sampling is complete. And now the algorithm will crunch numbers, compare the times of arrival of that radio signal at the different receivers, and work out several lines of position, and where they converge should be where the transmitter site is located. Near Trenton, New Jersey. And there's more uncertainty in this one. You can see the large areas of green and the stretched out oblong shape of the red area, which is where the transmitter is believed most likely to be. We'll take more samples. We're approaching 3/4 of the way through the next sampling period. It's about 10:33 p.m. Eastern Time. And the jammers are just raising hell on the ERPN net, which operates on 3860. They don't get along to people there. Okay, here's another location near Watkins Glen, New York. And indeed, the jammer on 3844 tends to operate early, but geolocations of him seem to be in the same area. He likes to play recorded sound snippets and scream and yell into the microphone. So, on the map, there's the location, the southern Finger Lakes region of New York. Take another sample. This music jammer seems to pick the most raucous and obnoxious music to have on a radio communication channel. There's lots of percussion, lots of instruments with lots of harmonics. It's rather similar, in a way, to the Chinese fire drake jammer, which has a lot of percussion, high-pitched music, and lower notes with a lot of harmonics. It's very difficult to hold a conversation through that. If you enjoy the music, that's one thing. If you're trying to have a conversation over a network of people, it's difficult. This geolocation is southeast of Binghamton, New York. So again, we're getting a lot of geolocations in northern, central Pennsylvania, sometimes eastern Pennsylvania, and the southern area of New York, south of Binghamton, southeast of Elmira. Also, if you look at a map of Pennsylvania, these geolocations tend to be north and northwest of Scranton. But the ionosphere is not perfectly stable. The path lengths change from minute to minute. So the points being resolved in this geolocation tend to move around. .3860 is one of those troublesome radio frequencies, much like 14313 and 7200. The jamming on 75-meter phone has been particularly difficult for people to deal with. It's been going on for years, every night. And there's basically a culture war going on between a lot of the generally right-wing and rather religious people who live in the rural areas and operate 75 meters at night with big antennas, loud signals. It's easier for them, so they're down there on 75, and others who do not share their opinions or beliefs. And within the last 4 years, especially, people down there have been a rather angry bunch, and as we approach the elections, tensions are high, and there's a very high level of rage. Angry, enraged people tend to attract jammers. And these networks, like 3844, 3860, sometimes 3918, they attract jammers. Okay, so the quality of this one is not so good. Notice the large, multiple areas of red to the south. And the fix was out in the Atlantic Ocean. It's an outlier. So just get more samples. After several sessions, take all of your high confidence position fixes and average them together for an area, and you'll come out with something that's pretty close to where that station is. From there, it's just a matter of taking an aircraft or a radio truck and cruising around to find more precisely where that jammer is. Okay, another one northwest of Scranton, Pennsylvania. So we'll zoom in a bit on the map. It's more west of Scranton, actually. A lot of the geolocations that I've been doing resolve to that area. Sample the signal again. Let's see what we get. The time of these samples is about 1:08 in the morning Eastern Time. So propagation is starting to become rather long, and the bands are a bit more unstable. Sounds like this guy is giving them a dose of reggae. I'm sure they'll love that. I did listen all around the country on Kiwi SDR sites and some of the web SDR receivers. I did not find jamming in the southern and western states. These people playing the music. Wait, here's the fix. Northeast of Scranton, southeast of Binghamton. So this one's a bit more to the north of that last fix. As I was saying, this jamming is more of a northeastern phenomenon. I listened around quite a bit on 3860. I did not hear jammers in the western states or in the south or even in the Midwest. And in fact, as I picked around on receivers in the northeast, I could find a few locations which were quite close and quite loud. So what's going on now is I'm picking more receiver sites. And as I was saying before, try to walk those receiver sites around your target location to improve the quality of your geolocation. It's a thing you'll have to constantly do when you're hunting for that transmitter location. Take samples, get the result. If the result tends to be stretched, oblong-shaped, put some receivers off the ends of the long axis of that ellipse, and that should give you a result that is more circular. The problem is that there's less precision along the long axis of an ellipse, so you need more receivers on either end. The northeast is a bit difficult because it's rather narrow in shape. Here we have another unreasonable solution. Notice the shape of the red area and the solution way out in the Atlantic Ocean. That's one problem you'll encounter doing this. Another problem is sometimes the calculations will time out. You'll have to do it again. Encircle the target. Stay within 1 hop distance. Remember that backscatter degrades the quality of your geolocation, and you need a stable ionosphere. After making changes to the SDR server group, that list of 6 receiver sites, take more samples. We'll zoom out the map and show you a more comprehensive view of where that station is located. Notice the arrangement of the receiver sites that appear in yellow on this map. The blue locations are available receivers, and the gray circles are groups of receivers that are not explicitly displayed. To see what's in there, zoom in closer and click on the gray circles. We have another solution northwest of Scranton, southwest of Binghamton, New York. It's a rather large, coma-shaped area. And the gradient, the change from the deeper red out towards the greens is rather shallow. And you can see the green areas are elongated. There's even another area of red to the northern part of New York State. So these are becoming more unreliable as we go into the evening. Notice that the map is being zoomed out. We'll try to avoid the backscatter by moving to more distant receivers. Another technique is to listen around on different Kiwi SDRs and note which ones are receiving the jammer the best and use them for the geolocation for your own monitoring. Pick one where you can hear the station, but it does not have to be loud and clear. Loud and clear reception is for the geolocation stations, the ones that are getting the samples. As long as you hear it and you know when it's on, when it's not on, and if someone's transmitting over it, then you'll be able to manage the task of geolocating these stations. Results: 4256 north, 7784 west, near Geneseo, New York. That's west of the Finger Lakes region. And again, the quality is not very good. It's a rather shallow gradient with large areas of green and a multi-lobe area of red, which means the algorithm almost picked one of those other areas. Change receivers and try again. Notice that there was an error in one of the 6 receivers, so we'll remove that and replace it with a different receiver. Sometimes these stations are not getting their GPS updating, or the channel is not available. No channels are available on that site, so it will throw an error back. Sample that jammer. Periodically you'll hear the sound dropping out. That's because of the rather restricted internet bandwidth coming into here. It should work a lot better, but it doesn't. I'll try not to rant and complain about why, but that's the reason. One other point with these Kiwis: as long as you can hear the audio, then you're receiving a usable signal. The waterfall tends to have a delay, and if the internet is not working well, the waterfall can become very, very delayed. But the geolocation will still work. 4146 north, 78 west, north central Pennsylvania. Remember, the geolocation also depends on the other receivers. As long as they are receiving and getting quality samples in time, the algorithm will still work, even though you might not hear the station very well because of bad internet between the site you're listening on and you. Now, many of these tend to form in the national park that occupies a lot of central northern Pennsylvania. Yeah, these receivers are probably too close. The skip is getting long, so I really needed to select some more distant receivers. What you'll see here now is the process of picking other sites. I actually need to go to the list and remove some and then replace them, and then when I have 6, sample the jammer. This jammer is running some pretty loud dance music. His signal is strong, and the music is raucous and really irritating, especially for the people that gather on 3860. They are not going to like this dance club music. I consider this to be an aspect of the culture war. Now, if it was up to me, I would tell this guy to play some punk music, bring on some Ramones and some Sex Pistols. But nobody's asking me. Newburgh, New York area. That's northwest of New York City, along the Hudson Bay, not too far from West Point. Notice again the gradient is not very sharp. It's a large area of red and a bit of green that just fades away. After many nights of trying to locate these jammers, I would say that this is a pretty typical, maybe better than average geolocation solution. During the better conditions, the geolocations will be a bit tighter. One nice thing about the current time is that nobody is fighting with the jammers. This fellow pretty much has the frequency to himself. There are times when there are multiple jammers, each playing music, or perhaps somebody's in there with some spoken words, either their own words, or they're playing back a tape recording, sound snippets. You can have multiple jammers in there, and it's really a mess. At times like that, it's very difficult to get a fix on any particular station. Sometimes the users of these frequencies don't want to let the jammers have the frequency. They'll go in there and they will try to hold down the frequency. They'll talk. They'll try to hold a QSO, which sometimes works, much of the time doesn't work, but it drives me up a wall because I'm trying to get samples on these jammers. Here's another one, northwest of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So throughout this video, you will see a lot of solutions that depict areas in eastern or northeastern Pennsylvania, sometimes north central Pennsylvania, or southern New York around the Finger Lakes and as far east as Binghamton. Sample that jammer. Later on in the video, you'll see some fixes around Lake Erie, somewhere between Buffalo, Toronto, London, Ontario, or maybe the south shore of Lake Erie in New York State. So I do believe there are multiple jammers who frequent this frequency, not just one that stays on all the time, but perhaps 3 that are on here frequently during the week, every evening or couple of evenings, and especially Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. I put this text on here as a reminder to to people using this as an instructional on geolocating. I can't stress it enough. Receiver sites that are far enough for single hop propagation, but not so close that they're in backscatter and not so far that they're in multi-hop propagation. You need stable conditions. The problem with being too close and receiving on backscatter is that most of the receivers will receive the signal at the same time, or with signal variations that are just noisy to the algorithm, and it won't be able to figure out any kind of pattern. So you can hear some stations trying to hold a conversation on the frequency. They're probably well to the south and west. The results, west of Altoona, Pennsylvania. So we're going to try to walk that thin line between being so far away that we're hearing other conversations and not the jammer, and being so close that we're on the edge of the skip zone and starting to get more backscatter than signal, stronger signal off the ionosphere. Well, this is an interesting geolocation here. Small, red, just a bit elliptical in shape. I would say the quality of that one is maybe a bit better. One problem, though, is that there are some areas of red to the east. Sample that jammer. And we have a low quality solution. Look at that long stretched out red area, coma shaped. The algorithm thinks the transmitter may be anywhere in that red area, most likely under the green flag, but not very much better than these other areas that are red in color. The algo is running on the last set of samples. Sandusky, Ohio. This area has come up before. We'll switch to one of the Rochester receivers and take more samples. This area on the western end of Lake Erie has popped up more than a few times in my geolocation efforts. So I do believe there is a music jammer out west. I think that is the westernmost jammer that's on 3860. In fact, I have noticed once or twice that both music jammers have been on and the bandwidths are just slightly different on their transmitters. One of them definitely couples electronically into his transmitter. Here's the result, north of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So one of the music jammers will couple in acoustically, you'll hold the microphone near the speaker. The other one will connect electrically. To make matters more complicated, there have been some other times when another jammer has come on with music and it's coupling in electronically. But it's not unusual. Many people have computers connected to their radios to run modes such as FT8, PSK31, some of the others. And it's an easy thing to switch away from the digital modes and put on music instead. Okay, we're taking more samples. To be honest, I think the hams running Whisper and FT8 are probably a lot more agreeable and easy to get along with. They're more into radio, and they're less into coming on just to complain to their friends. Okay, this solution is near Detroit, Michigan. So, once again, that station is resolving to a location out west. Well, as I was saying before this geolocation solution popped up on the screen, the hams on voice tend to be older people, boomers if you want, and they use the ham bands the way younger people use social media. They get in and they have people with similar beliefs, similar approaches to life, similar situations, so they're looking for kindred spirits. And in this culture war, one group of kindred spirits does not get along with another group of kindred spirits. Can't we all get along? Mostly. Change one or two receivers and sample that jammer. The problem is, most of us human beings want to get along, but there is one small, fastest group here on 75 meters that does not want to get along. They're not the only ones on planet Earth. I can name at least a couple, maybe 3 significant groups of people that just don't want to get along. They're not really the subject of tonight. South of Geneseo, New York. It's 1:39 in the morning Eastern Time, and the jammer is going strong here on 3860. Now, these networked Kiwi SDRs are a great tool. They're free to use, and as long as you don't stay on any one of them too long, the operators don't mind. You won't get kicked off or excessive time on the server, and they're very useful. Governments and large corporations have big budgets, and they're able to do a bit more sophisticated geolocating. Remember, all you need is accurate time, a stable receiver that tunes accurately, and a computer that can record and time code the signals. And if you can record terabytes and terabytes of data, there's no reason that someone or some agency can't record from many locations and ship all of those recordings to one central location and take their time for days or weeks after the fact and resolve the location of anyone they want that's audible on these frequencies. That's how the NSA works. You capture the data and they'll take as long as they want, up to and including years, to resolve who is communicating and where they are. But we're getting some interesting results. Here's another irregularly shaped result from the algo. We're again looking into northern central Pennsylvania. Correction, we're looking into northern eastern Pennsylvania. This one is in close proximity to Scranton again. That does not mean that the jammer is in Scranton, but the jammer is somewhere close to there. Between Scranton, Williamsport, Hazleton. The music jammer eventually stopped. We'll go to recordings made on August 8th, 2020. Getting geolocations was difficult on August 8th due to multiple jammers, angry drunken hams, and nobody wants to just be quiet and let people like myself take the samples. These guys were fighting over the frequency. They weren't going to surrender to anyone, neither the jammers to other jammers or the users, and the users not to other users or the jammers. So here's a gentleman in a recording. The jamming station is playing that snippet over and over and over again. Sample that jammer. He's saying something to the effect of, I'm going to make these recordings and give them to the government authorities. Sort of like a kid in school who says, I'm going to tell the headmaster. Or the sibling that says, I'm going to tell Dad. And the troublemaker says, tell anyone you want. Tell Dad, tell the headmaster, tell the cops. By the time they arrive here, it's all going to be over. Another location west of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Sample that jammer. So the regular users of 3860 are off the frequency. Usually they're up on 3869, sometimes 3865, and even less frequently they'll go down below 3860. It depends on how crowded the band is on any given evening with jamming. The other users in the south and western and northwestern parts of the U.S. aren't bothered by the jammer, and they'll continue on as though nothing is happening. Geolocation results, Binghamton, New York. Do you see a trend? Do you see a trend? This is a rather elliptical, oblong-shaped result. It would be great to have a receiver site up north. Montreal or Saranac Lake, New York, something way up there. There is a very nice Kiwi SDR run by W1EQX, but it is generally not available for geolocation. Sample that jammer. W2ZKD runs a number of receivers in the Rochester, New York area, and a few remotes. There's one up in Maine, and there are some others. ZKD does a great job of putting these up on the net. These are put up by volunteers who foot the cost of the equipment and the bandwidth. Some of them have links and will accept contributions to help pay for all of this. But they don't have a paywall up. Anyone can stop by and use these receivers. Results: Milford, Pennsylvania, which is to the east of Scranton. Another result that's elliptical in shape, squeezed so that the north-south axis is longer. There are actually two places where it would be very nice to have receiver sites. One in western New York or northwestern Pennsylvania along the shoreline of Lake Erie. And another ideal location for this kind of geolocation work would be, again, something in Montreal or Saranac Lake or other places in far northern New York near the Canadian border. Those would be in a good location direction-wise, and they would be far enough away to be useful for jammers in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and southern New York. This fix is of low quality. We're simply going to ignore the outlier. Throw away the result that's just too far away from what's reasonable. Wait for it. Wait for it. Sample that jammer. The internet is a bit choppy, so we do have some gaps in the audio. But you can hear a jamming station playing sound snippets over and over and over again. This result has a position northwest of Reading, Pennsylvania. Not quite as far north as some of the other results. but not very far away. This geolocation does work. Think about it. We have not had a location in Washington, D.C. Chicago's not coming up. Boston's not coming up. Over and over and over again, we're hearing the music station and getting something in northern and eastern Pennsylvania. The sound snippet guy comes up in the afternoons, and I've gotten fixes on him. He seems to be just south of the Finger Lakes, around Watkins Glen, or maybe somewhere more to the east, toward Binghamton. So propagation is getting long. We're getting some low-quality solutions. We're starting to hear more stations farther to the west and south as well. So instead of Skywave Linux, I did take a break and go into Linux Mint. Notice the menu icon on the top left of the screen. This works in Windows, this works on a Mac, it works on anything, because it runs in the browser. I'm using a pretty basic version of Firefox. Alright, here are the morons out there singing. I think they're trying to taunt one of the jammers, making fun of him because his signal is not super loud. So some of the regular users of 3860 will come in. They'll make snide remarks and try to harass and taunt the jammers. Sometimes it's other jammers just competing to see who's the alpha jammer on frequency. So northeast of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And there's a huge comma-shaped area of red extending out into the Atlantic Ocean. That is not a good quality result. Wait for it, wait for it. Sample that jammer. Yeah, this recording is going to all of the authorities. They're going to come and get you. And the jammers hear that and they just laugh. The problem is they're never expecting to get caught, and they will if they stay on long enough. So now we have somebody using profane language. It's a recording. The recording is of a person using profane language. And if this jammer is transmitting it, what difference does it make if it's him or somebody else? Okay, this one is located near London, Ontario. That's not far from Toronto. It is another fix out west. Now someone's dumping a carrier. When you hear carriers like that on the frequency, it is deliberate. The person using voice and dropping a carrier is going to have the carrier right at 0 frequency, and you won't hear it normally. Think of the aeronautical frequencies. You drop a little bit of carrier all the time before making the initial call. So, a different location and a different time. 10:20 p.m.
He's spearheading it, and he has some up on YouTube, and he actually mentions this frequency, that they're planning this and this and that and stuff like that.
These are regular users of 3860 talking about the jamming and their hopes for effective observation and enforcement of the rules. Yeah, 14313, 7200, 3844, 3860 all had jammers. Down here on 75, they persist into now and into the future. Basically, the jammers find anger and conflict. They find angry, toxic people, and people that they can pester who will get mad at them, or people who are saying things that bother the jammers. And the jammers retaliate by wiping out conversation on the frequency.
I guess, you know,
the problem is, as long as these people are here, the jammers are going to be here. For every one that's found and taken off the air, there is another jammer who's going to come up and begin his career jamming. 14313 was really bad years ago, decades ago. Yeah, 7200 had a reputation. I listen there. I don't hear much going on these days. 75 meters is where it's at. Find the rage, find the jammers. When the rage goes, the jammers go. It's these angry boomers, mostly right-wingers. They don't like that it's a free world and they can't stand sharing the world with others. It's like Trump and all of his bullshit about the suburbs being invaded by the different people from the city, or people from overseas coming in who want to emigrate. They're willing to live by the code, the constitutional code. These folks don't like it at all. Either all men are created equal or they're not. Either you're serious about the Statue of Liberty or you're not. What's it gonna be? Well, here come the drunks. Yeah, they make geolocation difficult by not being quiet. They're interfering with our sample taking. They're mad, they want to quarrel, they want to raise hell. So now these guys are getting drunk, screaming, yelling, want to fight. And I can't make good recordings and get good samples on the music jammers. But what the hell? If these guys are going to do this, I'll take measurements on them too. It's funny because what you're going to hear is this guy, and then there's another person who's pretty mild-mannered and calm initially, and then he goes off after a while, after his alcohol has taken effect. The gentleman with the strong signal.
I think he's listening to himself. He's probably masturbating in front of a mirror.
Yeah, that's Tony N3ITN with a strong signal. Making comments about that guy down in the noise who's really mad on quite a rant. The story is that the drunk guy is up in Canada. The drunk guy is not in Canada. I've been taking measurements on him. He's down in Pennsylvania. He turns his power down so people don't realize how close he is. N3ITN is also located in Pennsylvania. ITN runs a lot higher power, so he's stronger. Alright, there's a solution. Notice the large area of red, and it's not one little circular lobe. It's two lobes, and it extends out toward the northeast. Yeah, that's true. The drunken guy is listening to himself and others on an SDR. Yeah, don't put an antenna with the ground plane kit up there. That would hurt more. Another solution, not far from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Low quality though, with long extended areas of red, multi-lobe 1, 2, 3, 4, and that horrific coma shape. The algorithm is having a problem with the unstable propagation conditions. He has to repeat himself because he's running out of things to say. I tend to think it's not because he has a small vocabulary, but he's a bit drunk and he just can't find his words. So, north of Scranton, halfway to Mickinton, New York. We're getting this area over and over and over.
Alright, so I didn't mean to make you upset. No, really, Dan, I'm sorry. So, you'll have to give me your call. Come across the visit to you. No, I'll give you directions right to my door, you fucker. Get your passport.
I'm trying to get a geolocation and there is an error because of one receiver's side that was no good. So, cycle the Kiwi hosts selector. Bring up the sites, find a good one in blue, click on it, put it in the list. If there's a channel available and there's GPS updating, it should be usable. There it is. It's good to go. Click the button. We're sampling again. The problem here is that the drunk transmits almost constantly. N3ITN transmits a lot too, so during the sampling period, we're going to see a mix of both stations, and it's going to throw the algo off a little bit. I have noticed that the algo will prefer the strongest signal. So if one of them is much stronger than the other, and he's on long enough to get a good solution, that will appear in the result. If they're closely matched, then there's a lot less certainty. Alright. One receiver site was discarded. We do have a result south of the Finger Lakes. In fact, it's is that in Pennsylvania? No, it's in New York State. Quality's not very good, though. So the Angry Canadian on 3860 is not in Canada. Sayre, Pennsylvania, southeast of Elmira.
You don't have to worry about my passport status, dude. My job takes me everywhere. We'll just leave it at that. I'm sorry, I missed your call. Can I please?
So I'm trying to pick some stations farther to the south, but they just don't hear the jammer very well. I've listened on them myself, and a lot of them are plagued by noise. Power line noise, electronics, hash. There is a station in Frostburg, Maryland, out to the west that receives pretty well. Sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not. N3ITN is trying to get the drunk to give his call sign, and he won't do it.
Oh, this is N3ITN. No, I'm sorry, I didn't get your call. Can I get your call again, please? No, I don't want to see standby. I don't need to repeat standby. Once is enough, so you're about 3 times. 3 strikes, you're out.
So apparently he's been in trouble before, and he won't give his call sign because he does not want to get into further trouble with the FCC. And he's talking the talk about the RCMP. He's not in Canada, ladies and gentlemen. The geolocation this time shows Spencer, New York, not far from Elmira. I'm on FIRA for Elmira. South of the Finger Lakes, I've gotten a number of fixes closer to Watkins Glen, which is a little bit to the north of what you see on the map. Here we go, ITN is starting to get a little bit more loopy. He's a little bit more in the bag. He's resorted to the F word.
This guy's sitting out there wanking his fucking pud while he's listening to himself accosting. It's just ridiculous. You know, he sits out here and he's gonna do this and he's gonna do that, and then he's like, no, I'm not coming down there. Why don't you come here? And it's like, okay, I'll come there, but you know, I need to hear call signs.
Once again, he's not in Canada.
But he doesn't want to give his address, and then he's talking about the border and this and that and all the other fucking shit. And the guy's just a fucking blowhard douchebag. He probably doesn't even have.
So what happened in the courts or in the FCC where hams can use the F word and then their call sign in the next breath, and they don't get in trouble for it?
I'm really kind of sick and tired of this jerk off, you know? And as much as I would love to say, oh, I'll just fly on up there and beat the fuck out of him, and that'll be.
Well, it's true. Most of these folks out here are a bunch of facets, and
maybe I should launch a GoFundMe
not his world, and all the folks who think they're at the top of the food chain are not really at the top. We'll come to discover they're actually closer to the bottom of the food chain.
I'm gonna launch a GoFundMe site, man. I'm gonna fucking set up a goddamn snow nigger. I'm gonna set up a kill the snow nigger fucking GoFundMe site.
Hey man, there might be a GoFundMe site devoted to snuffing you out.
Kill the snow nigger GoFundMe site. And I'm gonna
Cannibals are already making barbecue sauce for the big cookout. We're going to cook some N3ITN. Add some paprika, cumin, cayenne pepper. Squeeze some lemon juice on them.
Which is kind of funny, right? Because you're all big and bad and you talk all your shit. You got fucking brass balls, right? You're going to attack me every goddamn time I get on this fucking frequency. But you can't seem to identify yourself, which is really fucking ironic, right? Because, you know, if you were all big and bad, would you... You would be a WVE or whatever the fuck your call would be, right? You would give it out, you know, just be right. Well, radio operator, and, you know, obviously because you want me to find you or get to you or visit you, have lunch with you, or, you know, the crumpets is we're going to have. You don't do that and won't do that. You haven't done that. You just sit out here and toss.
Only 2 stations are transmitting. What will the next set of samples look like? Considering that both of these are not very far away from one another. One is at much higher power than the other.
And so anyway, you gave me an idea, man.
I would predict that the samples will go into the algo, and the algo will give us a fix on N3ITN more so than the drunken guy who has a weaker signal.
Well, it may not be really popular, but what the hell, you know?
Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to the pattern of selective fading on the signals. Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Now, signals that are transmitting from nearby locations near to each other, that means transmitter number 1 and transmitter number 2, if they're close to each other, when you receive their signal, you will see a similar pattern of selective fading. So, the dark lines, the nulls in the signal tend to be arranged on the waterfall from the top right to the lower left. Which basically means the nulls are moving higher in frequency. Well, there's one that's going the other way. But what I'm trying to say is if 2 stations are near each other, when they transmit and you receive their signal, they will have similar patterns in the selective fading. Somebody else in a different location is going to have a different pattern of selective fading. The lines will have a different angle and they'll be spaced differently. There was a gentleman who popped in to complain about the language being used by N3ITN, and he had a very different pattern in the selective fading. The angles were far different, and you could see it. Okay, south of Williamsport, Pennsylvania. He's going to power up and burn out his equipment, and when he wakes up tomorrow, he's going to wonder why. He's going to say, why do I smell smoke and why don't my radios work.
The audio check is reacting.
Get back down there. You're on channel 6.
He's going to do his impression of a CB operator now. This is a good quality geolocation. Look at that. It's round, red in the center, a bit of green surrounding the red, more of a gradient. We still had the big lobe of green going out into the Atlantic, but that is better quality than we've been seeing for a while. Yeah, bite the big one, man. He's such a jerk. Reasonable people would do what Riley Hollingsworth suggested, and that's turn the knob.
You don't have to stay on the porch, man. You don't have to squat the tea with the little puppies, man, because you can't run with the big...
Can't run with the big dogs is what he was going to say. So, we switched around a bit. Different receiver site to hear this, and we'll pick some other receivers and put them in the list for the geolocation. I'm listening from locations that are pretty close to these guys in here, N3ITN and the drunk. Oh, there's a guy talking on a religious subject, and he's got at least one person singing, and there are some other music jammers who will simply plug into their transmitters and play music. This person here, it sounds like he's got some acoustically coupled singing. Plus somebody else has got the knobs turned all the way to the right with a lot of distortion and clipping. N3ITN is under frequency. He does not like this guy talking about his bullshit QAnon theories. He's about to say that the coronavirus may or may not be real. And he's going to talk about other conspiracy theories. It's all far right-wing bullcrap. That's why they're being jammed, because some folks just can't stand it, and they don't have the self-control to turn the knob. 75 meters is full of these people.
heavy-handed approach to the coronavirus, whether or not even, I don't even know.
There's a solution in the southern Finger Lakes region of New York. I think it's the station playing the snippets and pre-recorded audio, the really harsh-sounding sideband signal down in the noise.
The New World Order is in the ascendancy right now. The New World Order is lording it over the world. The World Health Organization.
This New World Order bullshit has 1,000 different names and goes all the way back to the conspiracy theories about the protocols of the Elders of Zion. The New World Order, the Deep State, Majestic 12. It's all bullshit.
What they're doing is coordinating this with the platform set forth in the what's called the 20 Agenda 2030.
Afton, New York is east of Binghamton.
Rule.
It's just a bit to the south and east of the previous geolocation on that jammer who's playing the pre-recorded audio. Now we've got some music coming in.
We have never seen some.
N1ITN is talking to another ham who was asking him to be quiet. I think he knows that folks are trying to get a location on these jammers.
Pre-coordinated. All of this was years ago.
ITN is about to come in and say, man, how long do I have to stay quiet? I'm tired of it. He's going to go on a rant about this religious guy that he does not like who's here.
The puzzle is event 201. Event 201. Study that. Study event 201.
Alright, so now it's called Event 201.
Realize that they
Is that like Jade Helm and these other nightmare conspiracy theories these folks are espousing?
everything that we're going through now. Everything that we're going through now. And by the way, this is all in accordance with Bible prophecy. Bible prophecy has come to fruition right
These
now.
neo-Confederate religious folks. The evangelists have been completely taken over by them.
That times are living in prophetic times. So now is the time, oh Jesus Christ.
This guy sounds almost like Brother Stare.
Shall be saved. When you call upon his name, you have to full faith and full belief in the promise.
Brother Stare is getting old and toothless. Who knows how long he's going to be with us. This guy can replace him, I'm sure.
Shut up. He sits there and says, no, if the corona, but then he talks about, and I don't know if you know what Agenda 201 is or not, but Agenda 201 was released in October 18 of 2019, and it was a simulation that was run.
Goodbye, Lukey. Goodbye, Luke Puke. Goodbye, Luke.
There's somebody with a recording of Jimmy Mack.
I don't know who Jimmy Mack is. I'll have to look into that. It might be interesting.
Goodbye, Luke Puke. Goodbye, Luke. 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 Goodbye, Luke.
Frequency.
Goodbye, Luke. Goodbye. Goodbye, Luke.
The guy the recording's walking all over you, Tony.
Fuck you, K3, you stupid little douchebag. You just admitted to the fact that you don't know if the corona
Southeast of the Finger Lakes. It's pretty country up there.
virus is real.
I've been through it a few times.
It's
Quiet, rural. There is a city, I should say, there is a town over there whose general demeanor served very nicely as a model for the town, and it's a wonderful life.
And the reality, you don't know your fucking ass from a goddamn hole in the ground. You've been a pathetic fucking fountain of fucking diarrhea ever since you showed up on this frequency. I don't know how many years ago it's been. But that's been you. If you're not Bible bent, you're fucking pretending to be the self-proclaimed expert in whatever it is that anybody else is fucking talking about. And the reality is, you're a douchebag, dude. N3ITN. Oh, that was a fart for you. I hope I caught you with your mouth open. Because you're just a fucking waste of fucking bandwidth, dude. Every time you show up, people end up having to sit here and listen to you fucking regurgitate some goddamn bullshit that nobody wants to for hours on fucking end. And you don't even have the
Or hours on end, listen to them.
If anybody else wants to use the frequency, you just commandeer and take it upon yourself to use it for your...
Well, it's a common conflict where the networks will pop up and they'll say, well, we've been using this frequency for the last 30 years.
I think somehow,
Not really.
you've got like...
Good operating practice means if someone's already on there, now, for the last 20 minutes, they were there 20 minutes before you today, you don't just run them off the frequency because you want to use 3860.
good tune, right? And so Riley wrote you a letter.
So there are a lot of jammers on here right now. Multiple music jammers, someone playing sound snippets,
Riley wrote
someone
you a letter.
swearing and cursing, and we've got N3ITN in here, who's just razzing one of the people out there who received a letter from the FCC.
I mean, let's face it, dude.
Actually, Riley Hollingsworth was with the FCC. I believe he's retired from the FCC now, but he's with the ARRL.
But Riley, man, he thought he dropped them all on your ass. You're a douchebag, right? And I would love to know what was in that letter. You know, we don't get to get the full know that you were served. But it would be what you were served for. Other than
In the meantime, I'm setting up some receivers and preparing to take more samplings of the signals. Because after all, the only reason I'm listening to these clowns is to show you what a cesspool 3860 is and try to find out where some of these folks are located. Internet conditions are a bit choppy.
that's why we used to call Jimmy Grasser. He let this guy in here and went back a while. It's late at night. No one else was around. He didn't have anybody to talk, and he let this fucker in here. And he's never left since. It's probably 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. And this motherfucker.
N3ITN and this so-called Canadian are big rivals. They show up from time to time on 3860, get drunk, curse at one another.
Fuck, man. He's just a low-life piece of shit. But, on the other hand, he takes the fucking high road, right? He's this almighty fucking, died in the wool.
He appears to be pretty drunk at this point. He doesn't like the religious people that are on this frequency either.
Yeah, shut the fuck up is right. And, and the irony is, when he's here, he's one loop. When he's on another frequency, he's another loop. To say the least, he was, and I don't know if anybody understands.
There are a number of jammers in here. Obviously the snippet guy with the short snippet of someone yelling to STFU. There's also a music station slightly off frequency. There's more music under that if you listen carefully.
And you sat there giving this Spanish speaking a bunch of shit. Or not Spanish speaking, but she was
Skip is starting to get long. Notice that ITN is starting to fade down toward the noise. And these other jammers are getting stronger.
She asked you repeatedly for your call. And you told her you didn't want to give you did not want to give her your call. And do you remember why? And you asked her. Shut the fuck up! This is terrific shit. You asked her if she remembered the Vietnam War. And then you tried to explain to her about all these little snipers and soldiers in the rice paddies lying in wait.
Pompous, silly-ass mansplaining clowns.
And she asked you, coach. And the funny thing is, somebody else was listening in on the frequency and gave her the call. And she looked you up and she said, "Hey, Lynn, is that you?" And then you said, "Well, I gotta go for a couple."
The thing is, there is no expectation of privacy when you transmit on the amateur bands, and a station's call sign's required when they're on the air, and it's a matter of public knowledge.
2 minutes later, you started singing to her.
So the guy comes on singing after he won't give his call. Laura's gone. One more round. Laura's gone. Or something. A little Johnny Cash. So one of the jammers puts on some singing. That's cute. There are just layers and layers of jammers in here. This is some of the most intense jamming I've heard in a while on 3860. This is a bit unusual. People are really wound up on this particular evening.
Is you?
Obviously, you're a fucking throwback. You fucking faggot. I don't fucking think so, jerk-off. You're a fucking junk and you know it. You're a fucking closet queen. Yeah. Most of you Americans out here are fucktards anyway. I'll have you know right now. You're a bunch of fucking retards. Obviously, you're a fucking throwback. You fucking faggot.
Is this frequency in use?
There's somebody doing a Beavis and Butthead impression. Is the frequency in use?
Is this frequency in use?
Now we have people using a bit of the Timtron lexicon. Piss weak refers to a station with low power, suboptimal antenna that you can barely hear on this band with all the noise. That's funny. And a wideband station has shown up. He's doing imitations of Timtron. trying to be funny.
Testing for urine. Urine testing. Hello, urine. Is urine present? The urine test. Urine test. Over.
He's listening to himself on the playback jammer.
Initiation complete.
All right. So piss weakness. I passed the piss weak test. Over.
Yeah, 40 over. No, I'm gonna give him the old. I wish I had a big radio.
Someday I'll grow up and have a big radio. This? Oh, we got the carrier. That's this week.
You gotta say it like old Timmy. Fish week.
Like Timtron. It's Pish Week. That's right.
Notice the pattern of selective fading on these signals. The background station transmitting the noise has a more blotchy pattern. The widebander has more defined selective fading, showing some vertical lines on his signal. That's a certain indication that they are coming from two different locations.
Well, someday they'll come back and their radio grows up. But until then, their mom might not let them.
The widebander's running a signal about 5 kilohertz wide with a considerable amount of bass boost. If you look at his voice, you'll see the first 2 spectral lines
Oh, yeah.
are peaked.
Play it back, Jack.
And he has a null in his spectrum between 1 and 2 kilohertz.
That's the funniest part is like, it's like nobody can hear me. I'm doing 95 watts and nobody can hear me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that DX station. Go ahead. Yeah, you're S9.
First
Go
of a
ahead,
series
station.
of Western geolocations. Seems to be around Western New York, Northwestern New York, or Southern Ontario.
I wish I was a drunken piss bag.
That's pretty great. That's really a nice simplex repeater there.
So I'm trying to take more measurements on the jammer, and the widebander is speaking
Stop talking. Let me
over
try it.
everyone,
Let me try it.
running high power. The system is going to pick up his signal instead. It's going to give us a geolocation on that guy.
The only painful part's going to be when his mom finds out he's using all the electricity in the basement, and then she's going to be pissed.
Oh, Johnny, get off the radio.
Alrighty then. Someday he'll come back when his radio grows up. Until then, anyway, peace out.
Ooh. That Pish Week station. Go ahead.
Music station is starting to fade in a bit stronger. It's 4:38 UTC, and he's just getting started, isn't he?
No. That's the X station. Go ahead.
Geolocation, west of Geneseo, New York.
Sorry, you're not allowed.
So once again, we're getting a fix located somewhere near Lake Erie. This one is just a bit southwest of Rochester, New York, southeast of Buffalo. And there's quite a bit of uncertainty in the fix. You can see the large comet-shaped red area, and also some blotches of red off of Long Island and extending out into the Atlantic Ocean. It's not a good quality fix.
Is this where that place hang out?
Is this frequency in use? Hello, can you hear me now?
Is this frequency?
No, tell him I burned him. Tell him I burned him. That's right, 566. What do you think?
Tell him I got him again, and I got him again, and I got him again.
Notice the delay between hearing the widebander and seeing his spectrum on the waterfall display. That's due to my local internet being a bit choppy.
Yeah, I don't
The audio comes through as fast as the net can bring it. However, the waterfall waits for a complete set of data before it paints the waterfall, and it can be quite delayed. As well, the clock display can lag actual time because of the poor internet connectivity. Here's a fix way to the north, up north of Lake Huron. That's an outlier. Throw those numbers away.
Well, put on, you disgusting.
Finger in a pretty pink finger.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
Curves.
566. Wall to wall and treetop tall. We're standing by.
You know, someday when your radio grows up, you can come on in here and get some.
You can have a big radio. Again and again and again.
I'm trying to take samples on that music station and interrupting the sampling when the widebander comes on. These guys will just not be quiet. They're making it hard for me to get a geolocation on them.
We on the side. Bye.
Man, I thought that shit didn't have it on friggin' 75 meters. I guess I'm wrong.
pervs.
Wall to wall and 3-ton tall. We're standing by.
Well, this guy just messed up a very nice sampling of that music station.
Oh man. You know the funny part is somebody somewhere is hearing this here, right here, and right here, and right now, right here, right now.
2 music stations. And various anonymous people are chiming in. It's a pretty busy frequency right now.
And they can't hear that guy going here right now, and here right now, and I'm here right
The location indicates Plum Island, New York. That's off the end of Long Island, south of New London, Connecticut. It's probably the widebander. There are a lot of stations in that region who run high-fidelity AM and a few that dabble in wideband, single sideband. There aren't too many around the band that are doing that. There are some that are in the Midwest. You can hear from Indiana, Chicago. There aren't that many in other regions.
That's right. We're right here from the south. Well, my mother's my sister, and I ain't ever kissed her.
My dad is my uncle. We call him the Dunkle.
Mm-hmm.
So notice the pattern of selective fading now. The widebander has some dark lines angling down from the top left to lower right. The music station has more of a blotchy pattern with no defined lines one way or another. I think we'll have a better set of samples this time. I got lucky and managed to pull 30 seconds without other people transmitting over the music. Kitchener, Ontario. It's interesting because there are a couple of stations that talk about listening from the Carlton Place SDR sometimes, so they might be in that area close enough to get into that SDR and hear themselves. I've tried that receiver and it's not very sensitive. So what's going on here? We have some oldies, and we have some kind of dance music underneath it. Sherman, New York, west of Jamestown. So we're still getting geolocations to the west and north of those locations we pulled earlier in the evening. We're up to 0449 UTC. That's about 1 a.m. Eastern Time. That solution is perhaps a bit better. It's round in shape, but there are multiple lobes of red. So the cross-correlation function is still having a hard time finding exactly where all of these signals line up. To understand how the cross-correlation works, imagine sample data shows a location of Port Rowan, Ontario, shoreline of Lake Erie. It's actually resolving to a point in the water offshore. So the oldie station has taken a fade down, and the hardcore dance music station is fading up. As I was saying, the way cross-correlation works with these SDRs is the server takes all of these different signals, all 6 of them, and tries to line them up so that they match, and then checks the time offsets, and that's how the time difference of arrival is determined. That's a good quality geolocation. Round, red in the middle. It still has some green in extended areas. Batavia, New York, west of Rochester. Quality of this geolocation is just a bit lower. It's no longer a round red solution, but a long comet-shaped figure on the screen. Figure on the map. So the process of geolocating these stations is coming on and taking the time to run multiple samplings. You have to do it over and over and over. When you're lucky, you'll get stable conditions and a good quality solution. And it all goes to crap when the band is changing. You have unstable propagation. It's just no good and annoyance. It slows you down. Ignore the outlier. Numerous fixes indicate the music jammer is in far western New York or southern Ontario. I am pretty sure that it's not down there in Maryland. And while the oldies station is taking a break to find some other music, the hardcore dance music jammer continues rolling strongly. This is the Culture War. They're playing hippie music from the 60s and dance music from the clubs. That guy reading from the Bible and talking religious subjects has had to either move off to another frequency, or if he's lucky, he's far enough away where this isn't propagating in and disrupting that other group. It's approaching 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. There are still a few night owls that are up, I'm sure. This location, Steenburg, New York, east of Jamestown. The jammers are really laying it on this evening. One thing that's helpful when you're picking receiver sites is if you hover over the marker on the map, you can see information about this site. In particular, look at the antenna that they're running. If it's a beverage antenna or an amplified noise-canceling loop, that's great. The U-loop, Y-O-U, U-loop is especially good. They can also be crafted by hand. There are a few plans for them on the internet. But the beverage antennas work well. G5RVs, not quite so much, and random wires tend to have poor reception. The operator really needs to take care and work hard to put up a good antenna. So this geolocation is round in shape in one globe, and then a large area of red streaming out to the northeast. It really could be better. It would be a lot easier to pin these stations down if only one transmitted at a time. These results indicate that the station's whoever was winning the reception contest is in the Buffalo, New York area. Zoom in. This time the marker is right over downtown Buffalo. Notice the other splotches of red to the southeast. We take more samples. Let's see what we get. Zion Heights, Pennsylvania, southeast of Sayre, New York. It's southwest of Binghamton, New York. That is very odd. The behavior tends to fit the Pennsylvanian. The Finger Lakes jammer seems more into audio snippets and yelling and sneering at other hams, swearing at other hams. Is it propagation? Or did the music jammers switch off from one to the other? Bravo, Tango, Fox, Oscar, Oscar, and Mike beats the hell out of me. I'm in a good mood. I'm not going to say the F word. BTHOOM. I would say that solution is of poor quality as well. Who's piss weak? Use piss weak. That jammer does sound like the Finger Lakes jammer. Plays a lot of snippets and off-the-air recordings in the afternoons, early evening. More samples are necessary under more stable conditions to find these jammers. Mayhem in Prepper City, produced by Radio AB9IL and Mach 7 Radio Intercepts. Thank you for watching.